Carlac ní Romeo Dwellishin, Gurumaiga Tommy Buick. Acting Leader, it's been a frantic few days, as we all can appreciate, in relation to the negotiations on Britain's withdrawal from the EU. Many of us predicted at the beginning of the deal and the arrangement between the DUP and the Tories that it would end in tears. And I think, particularly for some of the people who have maybe took great delight in telling Sinn Féin how they had to rush back into government with the DUP in the north, are starting to see the flavour and the calibre of the politics you deal with when you have to deal with the DUP. And I think it has shown, the late Martin McGuinness showed exemplary political patience and leadership in lasting the 10 years that he did. But Shin Scéal I think the purpose of my contribution today, Acting Leader, is to ask for updates or statements from the Minister for Foreign Affairs in relation to the current Brexit negotiations. And I appreciate negotiations are sensitive, and I don't think my party or anyone in this House would seek to compromise the Minister or the Government. But I do think it's timely. I do think we warrant contributions and statements from the Minister in relation to latest developments. He did it when the negotiations were going on in the north, and we all respected and adhered to the guidance he advised in terms of the sensitivities of those negotiations. So I think it's been quite a considerable time since we actually had a proper update in this House from the Government in relation to Brexit, and I think the last 48 hours in particular warrant precisely that. I want to include in closing, Catherlack, through you, Acting Leader, merely not to attack the Government, not to criticise the Government, merely, as is my duty and obligation to do so, call on the Government to remain steadfast, as they have, in relation to the defence of the Good Friday Agreement. The Government are mandated by the Dáil to negotiate for special status for the North, as we all know and appreciate, and I say this not in a combative way, but the North isn't as British as Finchley. The GFA ensures that. So regardless of the internal dynamics playing out between the Tories amongst themselves and indeed between the DUP and the various parts of Britain, what has to be put front and centre is the defence of the GFA, the retention of Ireland in its entirety within the customs union, the single market. And I think critically, and I'll definitely finish on this, Catherlack, I raised 2 weeks ago the whole issue of legacy and the really bitter impact that the unresolved issues of legacy are having to politics in the North at the minute. If we take the North out of the EU against our will, we will be left to the devices of the so-called British justice system. We will no longer have access to the European courts of justice. And I think that, as well as all of the political, economic and social ramifications that we know, I think that presents a very, very dangerous potential for those of us in the North. Senator Paddy Burke.